Welcome to the 3 Life Lessons podcast, where I, Rob Hubbard, talk to renowned figures from learning and development to uncover the secrets to their success and find out what makes them tick. Remember to like, subscribe and follow to ensure that you never miss an episode. So welcome to a special and somewhat unusual edition of 3 Life Lessons. My guest here today will be recognisable to some of you. Certainly he's recognisable to me, and he's been in the industry for a very long time. He comes from a different discipline, which he's kind of transposed across into our industry, and he's going to share 3 of the life lessons that have got him to where he is today. So without further ado, welcome Rob Hubbard.
So, well, thanks very much for having me. It's great to be here with you today, and it's odd to be this side of the interview.
By the way, Rob, before we get started, I just wanted to say, I love your shirt, man. It's really nice.
Oh, yes, thank you. It's one of my favourites. I like your shirt too, actually. It's pretty cool.
So, Rob, I think you know what my first question's going to be. So, what are you currently doing? What's your role, and how have you come to be there?
Yeah, so I'm Rob Hubbard, founder and CEO of a company called LAS. We describe ourselves as a human-centered learning, innovation and change agency. So how did I get here? What got me here? Well, I actually studied engineering design for developing countries. So the idea there is, rather than designing a water pump out here in the West, engineer it to incredibly high tolerances, and then installing it in a developing country where it's amazing until it breaks, and then it's junk because nobody can fix it. Instead, it's looking at, well, what have we got here to hand that we can make a solution from? You know, what's the materials? What are the tools that an engineer would have? What are the skills an engineer would have? So instead, you come up with something which is more or less infinitely sustainable because it can be fixed. So in order to do this, you have to have a real kind of curious and a problem-solving mindset. And really, that's what we've built LAS around, that kind of engineer's mindset of, you know, give us a problem to solve. We want to understand the problem to come up with the right solution.
So, Rob, what's the first life lesson that you'd like to share?
So my life lesson number 1 is that we are all more than the sum of our genetics and our experiences. So I think it's fair to say I've spent basically my entire career fascinated by humans and studying human behaviour and cognition and how the brain works and what we pay attention to and what we don't. And, you know, our reactions, as I've found, to a given situation depend on a mixture of contributing factors. So first of all, there's genetic behaviours. So these are the behaviours that all humans everywhere have. So these are like a hard-coded operating system. So these are things like seeking shelter, you know, building shelter, seeking resources, collaborating with others, finding a mate, raising young. You know, these are all things that every human everywhere will do, regardless of culture, regardless of, their parentage. Then you have the genetic predispositions of your specific lineage. So these are the things that come from your parents and their parents, and they are driven by your genetics to an extent. So these are things like personality traits, your cognitive abilities, attitudes to risk, things like this, have a genetic component to them as well. So on top of that, you then have every experience that you've had up until this point in time where you need to make a decision or respond to something or act in some way. Some would say this also includes all of the experiences that you had in the womb, by extension, all of the experience that your mother had. And then also some people say both of your parents' lived experiences and all of the experiences of their ancestors too. I mean, I don't really hold with that. I think it's much more to do with like your lived experience, your conscious lived experience. And then the final thing that you've got is what's happening right now. So what's the situation now that you need to respond to? And you might feel that that is a very deterministic way of looking at things. And some people would argue that that means there's no such thing as free choice. Everything is predetermined. Call it fate, call it whatever you would like to. I don't hold with that. So I believe that the really empowering truth is that despite all of these things that might be pushing you in a particular direction, you have a choice in how you respond to a situation. So it might be, I think of all these things as like if you're in a river and the river is pushing you down a certain way and you've got all these forces that are kind of sending you in a particular direction, you can just float in that river and go with the flow and do what the river wants you to do and go where the river wants you to go. Or you can choose a different route. You can swim across the river.
Okay.
You can change your route on the way down. You can, even with great effort, swim upstream against that. But you can make conscious decisions about that. So yeah, I firmly believe that we are greater than the sum of our genetics and our experiences, and that we have choice.
So I've got to say that one certainly resonates with me personally. What's the second life lesson that you'd like to share?
So my life lesson number 2 is that life is what you make it. So those of a certain vintage, myself included, may recall a song by Talk Talk called Life is What You Make It, with a fantastic piano line on it. Made a big impact on me. Unfortunately, that lesson did not sink in until I think my late 20s, when I kind of realized that I could be purposeful about what I did with my life and the kind of choices I made that would guide that. And that meant thinking about the kind of goals that I had, the kind of parent that I wanted to be. And that meant that, although at the time the LAS was formed, that's 20 years ago this year, around about now, if you're watching it, November 2025, LAS was formed because I took voluntary redundancy. Kind of didn't really leave me with a great deal of a choice, but anyway, at that point, I went out and set up on my own. And Tess and I were getting married. We just bought a new house, bigger house. We were having our first child. So all of those things would have said not a fantastic time to start a new business. But actually, we took the risk. I took the risk, and I wanted to. I wanted to have choices over what I did. I wanted to have an organisation which could be purposeful and could do some good in the world through the kind of projects that we do and the kind of people that we work with. And I also wanted flexibility. I wanted to be around my kids when they grew up. We've got 2 fantastic sons and now young adults. And it was really important to me to be around as they were growing up. I didn't want to miss out on that. And I wanted to be a big part of their lives. And I've been able to do that with LAS. I didn't want to work away in London or be based in an office where I had to travel a great deal or, work off around the world. That was really, really important to me. So, being kind of purposeful about your life and how you want it to be. That's an ongoing process. It's not kind of all done yet. There's plenty more things that I'm being purposeful about, things that I want to achieve and things that I want to experience.
Okay, so one left. Rob, what's your third and final life lesson?
So my third and final life lesson is whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. So this is about the power of the human mind and mindset more specifically, and how that relates to change. So people often think that behavioural change is always really, really hard, really difficult. Breaking habits, forming new habits, really, really hard to do. And, if you grit your teeth and you work really hard and you get the right support and you really, give it your all, then you may be able to change this behaviour or change that behaviour. And what I've found over the years, both from our projects that we undertake, so these are large scale change projects, learning and change and transformation, is if people have the right mindset, change can be, dare I say it, surprisingly easy. I mean, I know this on a personal level as well. You know, there's things that I've changed about my life where I'd been able to change my mind about that before I changed the habit, before I kind of stopped doing something or started doing something. And actually, if you can achieve that mind state change, then actually the act of change becomes really easy. I mean, almost effortless. It's kind of magical as well. You know, if you decide something's going to be really hard to do, it will be. If you decide something will be easy to do, it's going to be more straightforward. I mean, there are kind of limits to this, of course. You know, I might believe that open heart surgery would be really straightforward, piece of cake, honestly, dead easy, I've got this. I suspect if I had a go at it, probably wouldn't turn out so well. So, you know, I think there are kind of limits to this, but in terms of your kind of personal human behaviors and the habits and things that you want to change, with the right mindset, it can feel effortless, which I find is just magical, really. And the other thing that I draw a great deal of strength from, particularly when times are tough, you know, 20 years of LAS, it's not all skipping through meadows with bunnies. You know, I mean, that is most of the time, but, you know, sometimes the bunnies are busy and things are a bit hard. But the thing that I draw a great deal of strength from is that I come from a long line of survivors. So do you. So does everybody watching this. Every person in the world, in fact, every living organism in the world comes from a long line of survivors. That line is 4 billion years long. Back to the first life on Earth that we're aware of, 4 billion years. Every single ancestor, regardless of their species, was smart enough, resourceful enough, lucky enough as well to survive long enough to reproduce, to raise those young, and for them to do the same. So that is just kind of mind-boggling, you know. And so if you have the incredible fortune to be alive today as we are, not only are you one of the luckiest organisms in the universe, it also means that you are, by definition, incredibly resilient, incredibly creative, incredibly lucky, yes, but you've got all of these tools at your disposal. And I find that just really gives me a great deal of strength when things are tough.
So Rob, 20 years of LAS so far. What's next? What does the future hold?
What's next? Yes, 20 years not out. So I think will be continued to be fascinated with humans, individually and at scale, how we think, how we act, how we behave, how we heal, and all of this in the context of large-scale behavioural change, usually in a work context, usually adults. That's generally where we work. We have done stuff in other places too, and you know, really learning more, continuing to learn, continuing to find this useful stuff, applying it to our projects and our methodologies and our ways of working and our approaches, and continuing to be curious, really, with my engineer's head, as it is, fascinated with root causes and reasons for things, and designing solutions that actually work because you've taken time to understand the situation. So yeah, it's pretty cool, and I'm still really excited by what I do. You know, we've got some really cool announcements coming up from the start of 2026. Some new stuff that we've been developing. I am deep into that at the moment, using all of my skills as a designer, as an engineer, as a problem solver, and I'm loving it. I'm energized by it, and I feel like I'm doing some of my best work. So that will remain to be seen. But it feels like, yeah, this is. I'm really happy with the kind of stuff I'm doing at the moment.
So it just remains for me to say, Rob Hubbard, thank you very much for being a 3 Life Lessons guest.
Well, I mean, thank you very much for having me. It's been great to be here. And I don't know, we should meet for a coffee sometime. That'd be pretty cool, maybe. If you've enjoyed learning those 3 life lessons, then make sure that you like, subscribe and follow so that you never miss an episode.